This episode is brought to you by Visit Jacksonville. Sure, we get spring breakers, but you're more likely to find breaking waves ridden by surfers and pelicans. Picture a canopy of oak trees shading an historic neighborhood. We're a little bit of country and a whole lot of southern rock and roll. That's Jacksonville in a nutshell. And it's time to share it with your friends and family. Visit Jacksonville is giving you the chance to win a dream staycation this summer. It's the perfect getaway right in your own backyard. You could win a weekend full of exciting opportunities at Jacksonville's best local restaurants, attractions, and more, complete with a 3-night hotel stay. Do you have friends coming to town this summer and need ideas for them to do? From hidden gems to must-see spots, Visit Jacksonville has you covered. Download the Visit Jax app or go to visitjacksonville.com for your summer inspiration and your chance to win. So, man, we're back. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks, but another episode of Speak Easy Jax here at Manifest.
Manifest Distilling. We really appreciate them being our home base for the first season.
It's been a lot of fun.
It has been. And it's been cool to be able to go on location a couple times as well.
Yeah.
Different venues and highlight some of the, important places in Jacksonville and the work that's being done. So excited for this episode.
Yeah. It's super exciting. I do want to say, we've talked about this year, our focus is on getting high quality sleep. Maybe I'll talk to our guest about her fitness program, what she does. She's an athlete, and I think you're going to love getting a chance to talk to her and meet her and hear her story. But I want to say we've got a group on our Whoop bands that we compete every day on the strain, the recovery, and the sleep. And one person that never is beat on sleep is Rebecca Davis.
Yeah, she's usually at the top for sure.
Yeah, like getting 100% sleep every night. And I have to say, I'm proud to announce that you and I knocked her off the perch last night, and we beat her with 100% sleeps last night. So
I would have
never
thought that.
Congratulations!
I was going to say I would never have thought
pretty awesome
that I could get 100% sleep score. And for the folks that are tuning in, maybe for the first time, we've got these bands that track a lot of our activity, our workouts, the way that we sleep and recover, and it's just another way to be competitive with friends. And for the benefit of our health, but let's be honest, we're just competing with each other.
I mean, it's pretty crazy that we used to compete in all sorts of different ways. Now we're competing on who gets the best sleep.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well have something that's beneficial, right?
Yeah, but I would tell you today we have a special guest who brought a special guest.
Yes, so first time ever. Yes.
On Speak Easy Jax. But when you talk about competition, she may be one of the most competitive people I've ever met. And it's pretty cool.
I just met her not long ago, a few minutes ago, and I could already tell that she is a competitor, and her background lends itself to that. We're talking about women in sports and the importance of that, and we know firsthand what that's like, having daughters who competed in some sports growing up. And my daughters were in soccer for the longest time, and then my youngest Whitney switched to volleyball. Daisy played a little tennis, but both of them are still very active, gym girlies. They like to go work out now, but your daughters were also competitive in high school sports. Caroline and Livy, what did they do? They ran?
Yeah, Caroline was volleyball and, soccer, all that stuff. And then, Livy, she actually ran cross country at FSU, which is pretty stout. Yeah.
So pretty impressive. But the guest that we have today has kind of gone to elite levels when it comes to women's athletics, and I can't wait to hear stories from her about all of.
A dear friend of mine, and a friend of the family. My kids love her. Rebecca loves her, and what their family means to Jacksonville. She's doing all sorts of amazing things for women and girls in Jacksonville with Generation W. Former WNBA commissioner at the highest levels. She's been there, and I can't wait to hear her story. So without further ado, why don't we invite Donna Orender and Tiger Lily to be on the podcast.
First ever. So cute.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is going to be some good stuff.
Come on, baby.
Got Have you ever seen on the
Yes.
pet tricks on David Letterman?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can get something going on
Well,
with the podcast today.
We saw her do a few little tricks before we started rolling, so you never know. Maybe.
Welcome to the podcast, Donna. It's so awesome to have you.
It's awesome to be here, guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome. We're so glad to have Tiger Lily with us. Did she have an injury on her foot?
She had her teeth cleaned.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's a thing these days.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would not want to be a bad dog mom.
Well,
I was never a dog mom, but now I don't want to be a bad one.
I think the Davis dogs need to have their teeth cleaned because their breath stinks.
Yeah. Where are you going to go? You want to stay here? No, you stay here. You can stay here.
That's awesome.
I'll give you.
We're so glad to have you on the show, and I think that most people in Jacksonville have seen you on the news or have heard your name and the impact that you're making in the community, but they have never really had the chance to get to know who Donna Orender is. And that's what this is all about.
Being out there so much, I'm relatively private, actually.
Yeah. Well,
so let's see what you can get out of it today.
My first thing that I wanted to say is I truly believe that I could take you 1v1 in basketball. And I don't know what are your thoughts on
Daniel,
that?
you know what? The world is paved with fools who believe like you do. That's all I want to say, right? I know there's a couple of true stories, but when I met my husband, which many of you know, MG Orender, he's 6'3", he's a big man.
He's a big guy.
I play basketball. He goes, "Oh, okay, well, let's go play." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go play." I beat him 21-1 the first game. And that's with him pulling on my shorts.
Well,
and I didn't even know him that well. I'm like, "Yo."
When was
he
this?
You at the time? Was he trying to date?
Yeah, but he actually thought he could win, and he doesn't even play basketball. I mean, he's a professional golfer, so he's an athlete. But it was crazy.
Donna, how long ago was that?
Oh, I can't tell you, but it was a long time ago.
Okay.
Long time ago.
So you were, you were playing regularly at the time?
I learned how to play when I was 13, which is probably late, people think. Although I think it's good. I think kids start playing sports way too young now, at least really competitively, because we're seeing a huge burnout rate for kids because they've had enough. It's too much.
When you were younger, did you play other sports besides?
I played everything. I played 7 sports when I was in high school.
How important do you think that is? Yeah, but to your point, people specialize so early now.
They specialize.
How important do you think it is to have, experience in different sports?
It's so important. And all the research shows muscle development, brain development, all of it is enhanced when you use your muscles and your brains in different ways.
Right.
And it's funny, now that I'm older, I don't know if you guys look at it, but you realize repetitive motion. When you're a kid, you don't think about it.
Right.
But I think about these tennis players. Now add 7, 8, 9 years if they start really young.
Right.
How long can you really last with that? How long can your body take?
That's a good point.
So when you rotate sports, right, it teaches you how to move differently, think differently, and it enhances your overall performance.
Yeah.
And so I've always been a big proponent of that. And now when we see the burnout rates for kids, I worry. Especially girls. Especially girls.
I also think it's good to be on different teams with different people and just being exposed to all types of,
Totally. Different coaching, different methodology, different environments. All of that's enriching for us, right? Especially in the world we live in, which has so much rapid change. We have to really figure out how to be accustomed to adapting. It's not enough to say, I know this. You have to know how to adapt.
Yeah.
I was halfway joking about playing you in basketball.
Halfway.
I think now I probably won't because I have been embarrassed out on the basketball court a couple times, and I've been banned from playing any board members at the chamber in basketball.
Yes. And why is that, Daniel?
So on our last chamber trip, we went to Phoenix, and I thought it'd be a great idea if we had a free throw contest on the Phoenix Suns basketball court. And it was a lot of fun. We had a blast. And Michael Corrigan, who's been on the show, talked about how he won that free throw contest, and he kind of rubbed it in my face a little bit. And after we were done, Mark Bennett, who is an incredible athlete, comes from a family of athletes, Division I football player, he says, "You and me, 1v1. And I went, "No, bro, we're too old to play 1v1. I mean, realize we're in our 50s. We can't do that." And he goes, "No, we're doing it right now in front of everybody." And I was like, okay. And so you got to think, he's a real athlete. I'm not a real athlete. And so we start playing. And the first time I go up, I brick it off the backboard. Second time, when he goes up, he bricks off the backboard. I get the ball back. And this time I start making some moves, dribbling in. I go to shoot, and I realize he is in the air. Like, if I even tried to shoot this ball, he would have knocked it into the stands. And Carlton Robinson, who works at the chamber, he's our chief of innovation, and Andre Wallace, who's president of Jax USA Partnership, we're standing there just waiting for this ball to go into the stands. And I pulled it back at the last minute because I was like, I would rather double dribble than to get the ball knocked into the stands when everybody's watching. And when Mark came down, because I pulled it back, he was in an awkward position, and I heard something pop.
Yes, I bet you he did too.
And he went straight to the floor, and he goes, bro, I went, what, are you okay? He goes, I just blew my Achilles. And I went, no, you didn't. He goes, no, I just did.
Yeah.
And he's been in a boot for a while. He's recovering now, but from now on, I will never play another chamber member in any type of athletic activity. So I think you're safe.
Let me rephrase that. I think you're safe.
Oh, yes. My money's on you, Donna. If y'all did play, he's my best friend, but with your experience and the level you played at and your skills.
I've been in so many playgrounds and parks where I've heard all of that my whole life. So now it's kind of fun for me. My story's a little bit different than that.
Where did you start out? Where were you born?
I was born in New York.
Okay.
I grew up in New York. I am a New Yorker, although now I'm a Jacksonvillian.
Oh yeah.
With New York, with New York tones.
Yeah, I can hear a little bit of it.
A little bit. People are like, "What?" When people ask me, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Seriously?" I like that.
Yeah.
So no, I grew up in New York. I lived in New York City for a long time before I came down to Jacksonville.
What was your house like when you were growing up? You have siblings, and
I have two younger sisters. Yeah. Neither one of them are in sports.
Okay.
My dad, God rest his soul, he just passed recently. Was a semi-professional soccer player, and he loved sports. And so every morning he'd come to the table and he'd read the newspapers, because that's what you did then. And you just think about your dad. He's larger than life, and he's got this huge newspaper, and he's behind. You can't even see him. But I knew he was reading the sports pages, and that's why I got interested in sports, because I wanted to be able to talk to my dad, because I knew it meant something to him.
Wow, that is incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
It really, really is. And so that got me interested in playing sports. And I went to this conference recently for corporate board directors, and they said, you should make up one sentence that defines your life. Like, who are you? And I'm like, well, I don't know if I have one sentence. It's like, I can probably go to the top of the Empire State Building by the time I figure out what it is.
Right.
But I came up with one, and I said, I was a girl who loved to play sports at a time when the world didn't want her to. I mean, that's really, so much is baked into that.
What do you think it was that inside of you that had that desire to be an athlete? Because you said your sisters weren't interested in that, right?
No, and there weren't many, and there really, the data at that point was 1 in 24 girls played sports. Today, it's 1 in 2.5.
Yeah.
So think about, that's a huge transition, right? Girls everywhere can find their friends. And this isn't even about being an elite athlete. I believe in sports and the power of physical activity to be such an enhancement in our lives. And so when you say, well, do you play sports? And they'll be, no, you don't have to be an elite athlete. I happen to be fortunate that I was able to excel at a sport I chose. But you don't have to be that. The idea of, you raise it, competing, being out with people, being social, all those, and pushing yourself to limits that you didn't think you could.
Yeah. So you're young.
I'm very young.
Well, at the time when you first started,
Yeah.
You know, into sports, you said 1 in 24. So
Yeah.
When did you start? What was the age? Just so we have
I
an
was like 13.
Yeah.
So you're playing against a lot of boys.
I'm only playing against boys.
What was that like? How was that experience?
It was fun. I mean, actually, my 2 male counselors at my camp, who I'm still friends with to this day, are the guys that taught me. And the reason I wanted to play was because they had leagues at my camp. And they had really nice colored T-shirts. And I loved the T-shirts. And I wanted a T-shirt. And they said, well, if you want it, then you have to be on a league team. But there were no girls' leagues. They said, okay, we'll teach you how to play, so I can get a T-shirt.
Yeah,
And that's what I did.
When I was younger, and we're probably around the same age, but when I was younger, playing just Little League baseball, we had a couple of girls that had to play baseball because softball for their age didn't exist at the time. So they played in the league with us. And honestly, when I was 7, 8 years old, they were some of the best athletes in the league just because they were so much further ahead with coordination and
It's
and some
true.
of their
It's
skill
true.
sets.
We have a little 5th grader, and he has a girl on his team, basketball. Oh my God, I'm in love with her. I am in love. She is so good, and she's making our Benjamin look poorly sad. And it's okay. I mean, there is developmental differences,
Right.
and a lot of these young girls really excel early, only in comparison, just because of developmental ways young girls and young boys develop.
Right.
Yeah, my daughter Olivia, Livy.
I do.
She's now at LSU studying to be an artist and just incredibly gifted. But she had this drive. She would ask if I wanted to go run with her, and I would always try to do as much as I could to spend time. And she would run to the next stop sign and run back to meet me because I'm still running, but she's so far ahead. And I'm like, how does she do that? And it was just that she was so driven. Her mind was just focused on beating the competition. I've never seen anybody more competitive than Olivia Davis. And obviously it paid off for her. And you just think about how incredible it is to see your kids excelling like that.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I think the most valuable lesson I learned competing was that I think we all have more in ourselves than we believe we do. We all do.
It's in your head.
It's in your head, it's in your heart.
Yeah.
It's in both places. Like some people will say, you're not tall enough to play basketball. I said, you haven't seen the height of my heart.
Wow.
You can't see that. But what happened is I wasn't the fastest, and I didn't jump the highest, but no one was going to outwork me. Now,
Right.
You have to work smart. Just working hard is not enough. You have to work smartly hard. But no one was going to beat me in that category. And what I learned was I could get so much more out of this body and this mind that I ever thought possible. And to this day, we're all faced all the time with tough opportunities, right? Tough challenges. The world we're living in is challenging. Mm-hmm. And I always go back to that. I can do more. I had to sell WNBA tickets, arenas, at a time where people really were like, there were lots of diehard fans, but certainly at a time where people weren't saying, oh, we love this. Like I am in delirium today. Mm-hmm. But that's what it wasn't like then. And I would just think the same way. This is hard. We can do this one step at a time. We all have more in ourselves to pull out than we think. And we did it.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to understand the time frame. And Tiger Lily, you're being such a good girl. I swear, she is so dang cute. But so when you were starting off, you realized I'm playing with the boys. I'm beating every one of them. Something's different here than the normal female athlete. When did that start clicking in your mind? Was it on the playground? Was it starting in, competitive?
It's interesting.
sports?
Basketball wasn't my first sport. I played tennis.
Okay.
And I was the first girl to play on a boys tennis team or any team in the state of New York. So it was a really big deal. And I had to beat a boy to be on the team. It's a whole story I've told her in my TED Talk. And I beat him.
Well, I want to hear the story.
Oh, no, it's like, it's like the coach was his former Marine, and he had like this hair that if you put your hand on it, it's like a needle. I thought it was going to like push through it in a gravelly voice. And so I'm like 13 or 14 years old, and I said, Coach, I want to play on your team. And like at this point, I was playing field hockey, softball, basketball, volleyball, running track, cheering, and vaulting on the gymnastics team.
That's a lot.
I did, yeah. So if you ever wonder why I do all these things now,
right.
It's just like, I guess how, I don't know. Whatever.
Right.
And I said, and he goes, okay, Donna, if you show up at 4:00 on Tuesday, you beat Marty, you can be on the team. Now, I like Marty. I didn't really want to hurt his feelings, but I wanted to be on the team.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's competitive. Marty's going down.
Do you think that coach expected you to beat Marty?
You know what? A great question. I don't really know, but what a gift he gave me. Mm-hmm. What a gift he modeled. He said, I'm going to give you opportunity to compete. Right?
Love that.
And I accepted that opportunity, and I rose to the challenge, and I played. Ultimately, I found tennis is an incredibly mental game. I played tennis for the first time in 20 years this weekend. And I'm like, oh, I forgot. I really like this. But it's lonely.
Yeah.
And so when I played team sports, I just liked it so much more, which is interesting because the data today about especially young girls, they like team sports because it's more social. And we like that social ability, right? To be able to talk to people, to interact. And I just feel like team sports really is a metaphor for life. I think life is a team sport.
Absolutely agree. We were talking the other day to another guest about how important playing team sports prepares you for life. And I remember I was in T-ball. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
T-ball, how old are you? 14?
No, come on. I was a strapping young man at 14. But I was in T-ball, and a family that I loved dearly and a coach that had incredible impact on my life coached me up into the little league portion of my career. And he said something that hurt my feelings at practice when I was in T-ball. And I quit. During practice, I quit. And so, of course, my mom showed up to pick me up from practice and take me home for dinner and get ready for the next school day. And I said, I need to let you know that I quit today. And she said, you what? I said, I quit. Coach Stadell was not very nice to me. I remember his name, incredibly impactful on my life. She goes, okay, turns the car off, get out. I get out of the car. She basically had the back of my collar walking me back to the baseball diamond to have a meeting with Coach Stadell.
Good for her.
And she stood me there and said, Daniel has something to say. And I looked at her and I said, Coach, I'm unquitting. I am sorry for acting like this. And I promise I'll be a good athlete, Tiger Lily.
I think Tiger Lily, do you have to go out now? Okay.
No.
We don't have a commercial break, honey. Sorry.
But anyway, it was that original point in my life where I go, hold on a second. I'm gonna we okay?
I think she's got to go out. Hey,
can somebody take her potty?
We're not cutting any of this.
When you have kids, Donna, you use the word potty. That's like a universal term.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But anyway, that was the first portion of my life where I realized I'm not quitting anything.
You know what's so interesting about that? To bring it to current, it makes me think of NIL today, right? One of the issues, not that I don't think kids should not be able to get paid to play, right? We've established that. But NIL makes it so easy for them to opt out. And in a very critical stage of development where they really need critical assessment and feedback, and a coach has to have some sway to be able to help raise that young person up.
Right.
The answer is, I don't like you, I'm leaving. Somebody's going to pay me money. Yep. And that lesson that your mom taught you at such a young age doesn't get taught now.
Davises don't do that.
Unless
that's basically what she was saying.
There's a special coaching situation or a parental situation or whatever it is. And that's what worries me about college sports today. That really critical piece. Now, I will say, there are coaches that are not worthy of coaching you. That happens too. They're not all perfect.
It's true.
But in a really good situation, that lesson is so valuable.
We're talking about it today.
Yeah.
And that was 40 years ago, 45 years ago. So when you got to high school, was basketball clearly your standout, or did you?
First I played tennis, then I played all the other sports, and then I started playing basketball and I fell in love.
Yeah.
Just fell in love. And
Did you play college ball?
I played at one of the best teams in the nation all 4 years.
Tell us
we
about
made
that.
history. It was funny. I'll never forget. I was 15 years old. I graduated college, high school when I was 16.
Wow.
So I was in college when I was 16. And I remember going when I was 15 to the national championships, and they were at Queens College in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
They played Immaculata, which is an incredibly storied team.
Yeah.
The Catholic school out of the Philadelphia area, all the nuns came in their blue habits, and they had pails and wooden spoons, and it was unbelievable. And I literally went by myself, and I sat up in the stands and I said, I want this. I know people say I want to go to a football school and be part. No, I wanted to play, and I wanted to compete at the highest level. And I didn't know if I was good enough. I was offered, there weren't many scholarships in those days, but I was offered an academic scholarship and then one athletic one. But I chose to go to Queens College because it was one of the best programs in the nation with the best players.
Yeah, history.
And so my coach, Lucille Cavalis, who at long last is getting inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. She was presented at Final Four. I was there a couple weekends ago. And I sat with her, and she's 93 years old. She's amazing, just amazing. I can't thank her enough for what she's done for me. I can't. And so, again, in a time when it wasn't really popular, although New York City loved us. New York City, I mean, come on, New York City's the mecca of basketball.
Right.
And she arranged for us, we played the first women's basketball game ever to be played in the most famous arena in the world, which is Madison Square Garden.
That's
12,000 people plus in the Garden. We played Immaculata. And I'll never forget being on the layup line. I'll never forget the music. I'll never forget my mother in the stands with her sign. She didn't know what the right time was to hold it up, but she was there.
What was the sign? Do you remember?
Just like "Go Queens" or something silly, right? But she didn't know whether if you were on the free throw line, whether she should clap or not. Mom, clap. It'll be fine. And my dad pretty much went to every single game I ever played in. But it was really it was really elite. The best player, I played against the best players in the country and the world.
Yeah. Donna, as I sit here and hear you talk about your childhood and, now your high school and college playing days and just life in general, it's evident that there is a passion that you exude.
Yeah.
You have a drive, just something in you, this energy that kind of, is palpable and you can feel it. Where does that come from? Was it something your dad had, your mom had? Is it something you just have always had inside of you? Have you developed it? What is that? Where does it come from?
It comes from somewhere, right? I mean, it all comes from somewhere. It's hard to say. My sisters are very different than I am. Oldest child. My mom is very kind of a driven, caring person. My father, I think it's probably a combination of them both.
Yeah.
My dad was, you will be the best kind of, or else. It was a dad that says, why'd you get the 1B?
Yeah.
That was my dad, right? Why'd you get the 1B? I just want to keep you honest. I want to make sure you can talk to me about something. I wasn't like an instant A student. That wasn't it. I had to work, but.
You graduated at 15. You were at college at 16.
I graduated at 16 and I went to
academic
college.
scholarship. So let's just.
You must have done something right in the classroom.
I did, but I wasn't like, I wasn't one of those.
Was it the hardworking style or was it?
I did that. I think I did that. I could figure things out, as far as that went. So, yeah.
So what was your first step out of college?
I graduate and really that passion for me was, all right, girls, we're going to take her.
Listen, I would tell you, Tiger Lily's great. We don't need to, if she tinkles on the floor, then we'll clean it up.
Okay, there you go. That's your treat.
You just said tinkles.
Well, that's what you say when you have a dog the size of Tiger Lily.
Potty and tinkle. Yeah.
So we got her. The only thing I wanted to do really is make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
That was my motivation. I wasn't sure. So I thought I'd go to social work school.
Okay.
So I applied to social work school at this point in time. And social work school, they wanted people who were older. Like I had just turned 21. And they wanted people with life experience. And I thought, I'll never forget, I thought that was crazy. What are you talking about? I'm 21. I have so much life experience, right? When our kids say, Mom, I'm old. I know what I'm thinking. You're looking at like, but they took me. So I actually got into social work school. And I got a call a couple of weeks in that says, listen, Donna, we are starting the first women's professional basketball league. And we want to know if you want to play in the league. And I'm like, are you kidding? It's like a dream come true. I didn't feel like my skills were fully developed. I had not done with the game at all. And so this was an opportunity I couldn't believe. So I literally would go to my classes. I had a practicum. I actually had 9th grade pregnant teenage girls. I played basketball with them or whatever. That's part of my.
Sure.
And then I would do my homework in my car and then I would go to practice.
That's crazy. What was the team?
The team was called the New York Stars. And the home court was Madison Square Garden.
Oh, wow.
And my coach was Dean the Dream Meminger. I don't know if you remember, he played for the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
And, before he died, tragically, we had become friends.
Yeah.
But he was really difficult coach.
Like just having a hard time in life? Difficult?
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he was sober or high all the time. He was just and he was saying to me, Donna, you teach everyone how to shoot. I was a good shooter. Like, coach, that's your job. I mean, I'm making $5,000 a year. Come on.
Yeah. 5,000 a year.
I was the second highest paid player. I negotiated my own contract. I did.
That doesn't surprise me.
I did. I negotiated like, who are we going to pay an agent? Like,
Yeah.
But I played 3 years. The league lasted 3 years. It was an adventure that I will always be grateful for.
Right.
Oh, it was so fun. I got traded. I wish I can find the recording. Do you know what it's like to be traded? Like, it's like literally you're in the market and like your coach or the owner talks to the other owner and how much you're, right? And then I said, well, will you go to New Jersey? Like you're a commodity. Yeah. Well, will you go to New Jersey? And I said, I'll go to New Jersey. So I went to New Jersey. And then one day, this woman walks in and I'm like, oh my God, she's like the most famous basketball player in the world. She walks in to play on our team.
Wow.
Her name is Annie Myers Drysdale. Oh, yeah. Annie Myers, her name was.
Yeah.
4-time All-American at UCLA, fantastic player. And she's very quiet. And so Annie and I kind of got along. She's one of my dearest friends to this day. And she's shooting and there's a guy watching us. And I'm like, Annie, of course I'm convinced he's watching me, but Annie, who is that guy? She goes, it's Don Drysdale. I'm like, what is he doing here? She goes, oh, he's just my friend. And of course it comes out and they get married.
Wow.
And they were married for a long time. And they had 3 kids. And then Don died kind of the younger side. I mean, he was in his 60s. And Annie and we played together that season and we've been friends ever since. And she is an investor and one of our guiding lights for our Upshot League.
That's so incredible.
Isn't that great?
We were going to start talking about that, but can you talk a little bit about WNBA and how you got involved there? Obviously, from the early years playing professional basketball, but then how that transitioned into your vision for there's so many women that should be playing professional basketball that there are just not enough spots for the talent.
Not enough spots at all.
So can you kind of walk through and then talk about what you've done in Jacksonville?
You want me to talk about the WNBA?
Yeah, start there and then transition that over.
So I always loved basketball, but I worked 17 years here at the PGA Tour.
Yes.
And we did a lot here, a lot. But I had my own production. I had my own company when I was in my 20s, and it was a production company. It was producing, directing, writing, doing video shows, things like that. And along the way, I got hired by David Stern and Adam Silver to produce David's pet project, which was called Coach to Coach. And it's really funny. You know what his problem was? Youth coaches were not skilled and learned enough to deal with kids. Hello, how many years later?
Yeah,
it's still the same
thing.
So they came to me and said, would you produce this home video? And home video was huge at that time. And I said, sure, I would. And you know who I had to work with? I worked with like Billy Cunningham and Riley and Bernie Bickerstaff. And you name the NBA coach, the most famous, they were mine. So here am I, like running around. I'm like, I had a director who was a guy, he was a great director, but he knew nothing about basketball. And so at one point I'm like, Red, you can't shoot that shot from here. You have to shoot this. And I didn't mean this shot. I meant the camera shot.
Yeah.
He goes, well, if you think you know so much, you should do it. I said, I think I should do it. And I did. And so I ended up like directing it and then we put it together. And so from then I had a relationship with the NBA. That was great. And we stayed friends all these years. And I'm at the PGA Tour and the phone rings and the WNBA launched. I didn't have much to do with it. I was really into the golf. I was totally in. And they said, we're looking to make a change. Would you be interested in coming to work for us here? Adam Silver was my great friend. He's still my great friend. I said, wow, I don't know. Yeah. I have to think about it.
Yeah.
I really had to think about it. My family was here and my husband wasn't going to move to New York. My kids were young. How was I going to manage that all? And it took a while, but we talked through it. It was a team effort. Orender team Orender. We still talk about it to this day. And most credit really belongs to MG, who said, I think you should do it. I'll be fine. Which most husbands wouldn't say that.
Right.
I mean, I left. I literally packed my bags and left. And the kids stayed with him for a little while, and then they came up to New York, which was great.
That's an insane
story.
I
mean, yeah. And then I commuted, and then he commuted, and then I commuted again. But when I got there, I was kind of gobsmacked by it. I don't think I asked all the right questions. That's another lesson when you go for an interview. Like, really think through all the questions you should ask. I looked at the P&L and I saw how much sponsorship we had, but I didn't really dig into the terms of the deal and how long they would stay. So I walk in the door and $11 million walks out. It wasn't because of me. It was just because they were ready to move on. And I wasn't prepared for that in my brain. I wasn't prepared for all the negativity around the league. I wasn't prepared for the sexism. I wasn't prepared for the homophobia. I wasn't prepared for the racism. Where in my life would I have learned all of that, even though I grew up playing basketball in Harlem and all my teammates and all, it was, I'm at the pinnacle of women's basketball now.
Pioneer.
And there's a lot to figure out here.
Yeah.
But we did.
That's
We
incredible.
did. It took us a while.
What was
but we
the
did.
biggest lesson you learned from those days, from the challenges that you had as a mom that's working and, going back and forth, and then also starting the league the way that you did?
The biggest lesson I truly learned was not to get distracted by the noise. And there is so much noise every single day in our lives when you think about it. There's so much noise. And I was like, I'm not going to listen. I am mission focused, and I can't listen to all of that and accomplish what I need to do. I have a belief system. We've built a belief system on what can work and why it can work. And there are the proofs of positivity that we can succeed, and we're going to build on that.
That's really good. That translates.
It
no
does.
matter what.
I can't tell you how much I've had to learn that lesson of the noise on both sides. What gets me to my goal, all of this is just a waste of energy to chase.
It's debilitating. It's depleting.
Yeah.
It's depleting.
What year was that, or what years?
2005 to 2010, so 6 seasons.
Did social media play? I know it wasn't as popular.
Social media was just starting.
So.
But the great part about social media and technology was we actually were, because we were who we were, we could pioneer a lot of things. And because my background was in production and media and all of that, I felt very fluent in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there was this new technology that with little cameras. I look at the cameras that we have here. It's amazing how much it's changed.
Yeah.
And we were able to create our own telecasts and create all of those one-on-one streaming. We were like the first sport league that streamed.
Wow.
And we had to.
I didn't realize
because
that.
there was no one who was going to take us
No
up.
network contract.
Right. I think before I got there, they had Lifetime, which was okay. And ESPN did some, and we started to build because I had, I did the global media for the PGA Tour. I literally built out our whole global media business, distribution, production, programming, digital. And so I kind of knew my way around, and that was what was really exciting.
So it sounds like you were kind of an early adopter of some of the social media platforms
Great.
and leveraging those.
Without penalty.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And, what you saw in the marketplace was that people were just starting to understand how they could program for themselves and also find ways that they can see what they wanted.
So here's a question for you, because there's people that are going to watch this, and even if they're not sports fans, they're going to benefit from, some of the stuff that you're talking about in pioneering something new. What were some of the pros and cons of trying things that hadn't been done before? Are you a fan of going first when it comes to stuff like that and seeing what happens? And if you mess up, you just back up and kind of readjust. What are some of the pros and cons in your mind to taking that approach?
I guess it depends where you sit and what's around you, right? You can look at some businesses, early adopters could get burned, but then again, early adopters can own the market, right? And in the world we live in, Daniel, the Chamber is so well known and recognized for their support of entrepreneurs and good business, is you have to iterate, right? I always say that perfect is the enemy of good.
Yeah.
Right? You have to try and figure it out, because the idea of 5 and 10 year plans,
Yeah.
no such thing. I can barely plan tomorrow. When you think about it, because you just really don't know. So I'm all about, let's try and let's figure it out and let's see what we learn.
It reminds me a little bit about, so we have a entrepreneurial program called Jax Bridges at the Chamber.
Yes.
And when we announced it, we didn't quite know what it was. And there were people that said, you can't make an announcement until you know how this is going to go. And we were like, no, we're going to make the announcement. We'll figure it out along the way. One of the most successful programs in the country. And it's not the same program that it was when we started, but we every year refined and refined and refined. And it's the same model, but we're not being stale.
No, you just figure it, which is, I think it's really, really important. And when you find things that are good, stick with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Now he mentioned Carlton, and plug for Carlton. He's leveraging AI. You know,
I know. I have a meeting coming up with Carlton.
Yeah, the first in the country, first chamber in the country to really use it in the way that he is. And we're seeing, tons of people benefiting from it. And he's going first.
I saw the scary thing today, though, on AI.
What?
It said, Eric Schmidt said, in 6 years, AI will have enough collective intelligence to be smarter than all of collective humanity. And I'm like, okay, I thought about that for a second. I'm done for now.
Yeah. That's a little
it will blow your mind, won't it?
It's just too much.
Yeah.
So what gave you the idea on the Upshot League?
The Upshot League?
Yeah. Can you explain what it is first?
Sure.
And then...
Well, I can. Sure.
Okay.
Of course. The Upshot League is a new women's professional basketball league. We're calling it the Opportunity League because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about upping everyone's shot, including the athletes who will get more opportunity to play, coaches who can be developed, fans, communities, and really building community assets. And so there's always been, the WNBA has taken off, which is, again, doing happy dances every day.
Yeah.
Women's sports is exploding, happy dances every day. And looking at the marketplace, and I really would love to have had a WNBA team. And most of the markets, I wowould say 80% of them called me for advice before they would go out, whether it be Denver or Philadelphia or even Toronto or you name it. And so I got involved with an investment group, and they wanted to go to a market that I won't say. It's a market that I actually had tried to plumb before, because I did go around the country. That's why trying to build markets way back when. And the more I looked at the market, the more I felt like Jacksonville was a better market. And so it was hard for me. And they said, well, Donna, here's how you can do it. We can get there, and then we can use it, and we can bring it here. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. But my heart is here. And I truly believe we have what it takes to be a market for the WNBA. Right. But what became clear to me is they weren't so sure that we would be that market. And then the leadership told me at the highest levels that the NBA owners want back in. Of course, I have lots of feelings about that, but I'm glad that they do ultimately. Because, it started as a NBA-owned league. Now they own 42%.
Yeah.
And I was there when we brought our first non-NBA owner in Michael in Chicago. So I'm like, okay, if you look at what they've done, right? They've just announced 4 new teams. That's 4 years from now. They're going to add 3 more teams. And of course they're going to do Detroit. I mean, I was the one who took the shock out of Detroit and moved them to Tulsa.
Wow.
Detroit is ready.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, Brian Roberts wants a team. Are you going to say no to Brian?
Right.
Eventually they're going to want enough. They'll pay what they need to do. So now we're at 6 years, maybe 7 years. So Andy Kaufman, who really is...
how much you love Andy Kaufman. That dude loves Jacksonville. What he's done with the Icemen is insane.
Right?
Yeah.
So we had found each other. He was doing his path way back when. When I started, it was $35 million a team, then $50 million team. I did place a bid on a team for $115 million, and they said no, although I think that team might accept another bid now, because I figured that would be the best way to get it to the Jacksonville. And so Andy and I looked at each other and we said, oh my gosh, you're fantastic. Andy, look what you've accomplished. Look what he's done with the Icemen, Zoyer Sports. He's got all this experience. Let's leverage that. And he looked at me and goes, well, let's control our own destiny. Let's just create our own league. And I go, let's do it. And that's really, it was as simple as that. And to be able to, when you look at what you need to start a league, you want, number one, a really high quality experienced operator. I've sat in NBA rooms, the governor's meetings with billionaires. They're all billionaires. And even though they generated that much money in their home business, they didn't know the first thing about a sports business. I've watched them waste money, I've spent money, whatever. We're walking into markets where we have currently on the ground expertise, right? A cultural presence. It happens to be hockey, but that's okay.
Yeah. We'll
build it around basketball. One of my favorite, like when we did our press conference aside from here, or Mayor Deegan, we might have her be point guard. It's okay. You could be the water boy.
Yeah,
that's an important position. Or no, you could be a ball boy.
I could do.
I think we should get all the chamber to be ball
run out there and do
I can do the when they fall down on the ground and wipe.
Take the towels out there and wipe.
All good, all good.
Yeah.
So we're in Savannah with the mayor of Savannah, and it turns out he's a New Yorker. Go figure. Loves the Knicks. Go figure. He's ready to play. He's a lefty. I'm like, oh, you're a lefty. Let's see how you're moving. He goes, oh, you know the game. Because I'm not sure I want to play you. I said, I'm not sure you do, but you do. And he said, we sell out. They've sold out 3 years for the Ghost Pirates, the hockey team.
Yeah.
7,400 in a beautiful arena.
Yep.
He goes, we'll do that for women's basketball.
Yep. That's awesome.
Happy dance.
So cool. So cool.
So the Upshot League is coming here.
Yeah.
Jacksonville. We're
Can't
going to play
wait.
in the ViStar. We're going to be in Savannah. We're going to be in Charlotte. We're going to be in Greensboro. I am hoping that before we launch, we might have a first expansion team.
Yeah.
And there's already expansion teams set up along the way.
Yeah.
And listen, there's so much talent. You've heard me tell the story. 108 players got drafted, not including this year.
Before we get to our final two questions, can you tell us a little bit about your vision for Generation W and what you brought to?
I hear you. She has a question first. What's your question? What's your question? Do you want to come up here? Come on.
Tiger Lily, right here. Come here.
Come on. All right.
Right here.
Oh, now she doesn't know what to do.
Man.
I have no more treats for you. I'm done.
Talk a little bit about Generation W.
Oh, so when I left the WNBA, another thing I really learned was how the world felt about women. I learned about how men felt about women. I learned about how women felt about women. And it was so eye-opening. And it was so heart-opening. And it was, listen, on both sides, it was good, bad, and ugly, all the way around.
Yeah.
So when I came back to Jacksonville, the other thing I learned is there's good people everywhere.
Yeah.
And you may not see them right away, right? There's always like this upper tier of like this one owns this team and this one does this and this one owns this company. But there are so many other people doing great things who have been enormously successful or interested in elevating their city. And I was fortunate enough to see that because I visited cities. I felt like, my own little chamber of commerce. Mm-hmm. And so when I got back to Jacksonville, I said, Jacksonville is a great city. Has so many phenomenal women. I don't think their voices have been equally heard. Right. Even though equal is a bad word these days, haven't been heard. They haven't been valued. You're the head of the chamber. What do we compete in? We compete in talent.
Yeah.
Would you coach a team that only put half of the talent you have on that team and expect to be the best in the world? No. We want to access all the talent. Yeah. I said, so I really want to create an event, a thought leadership event. People didn't think we had thought leadership here. Although I said that to somebody who'd been here for 5 generations, I didn't realize I was touching a sore spot. But he ultimately agreed. And we said, we'll create Generation W. And it will be, we're all Generation W, right? Life is a team sport. We're all on the team. But we're going to do it through a woman's lens and give opportunity and encouragement where that hasn't historically happened. And so in year 1, which was 2012, we had over 700 people show up. They had no idea what they were showing up to. Because truthfully, we took everything that I learned speaking around the world and all my experiences and said, we'll pick the best. I didn't have to do it by group or committee. I just said, I think this will work. And to your point, you know what I said? And if it doesn't work, I'll be okay.
Yeah. Figure it out.
I'll be okay. Yeah. We'll figure out what's next.
Yep.
But it was a resounding success. And we just celebrated our 14th year. I know that the chamber sends people, companies all over. People come from all over the country.
It was streamed all over the world.
Yes, we just looked at our streaming back before I came here today. Australia, Europe. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. And so from that, now we built a teen girl program. So we have almost 20 clubs here. We're in Orlando. We've done it in New York, Portland, Oregon, Louisville. So we can help our younger generation as well develop and grow and be the best they can be.
How can people access those programs? I know you have a website. You want to share?
Just go to our website or call us. genwnow.com is probably the best way.
Okay.
People call, they link in, they leave a message. Yeah, one for all for one.
Because there'll be people watching this that want to either get involved or want their child, their daughter to be a part of that. So I think it's important to make sure.
We would love that. Yeah. We really would. And anyone can have ideas. I got an idea about like how we should like talk a little bit about families and kids and moms. I don't know if we've really done that well enough yet, but there's always ideas that people want. And we get amazing people. People call us now to come to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, the people that we attract here,
top shelf. It's absolutely top shelf.
We had this amazing guy that I saw in Arizona, which we're going to talk about, Ian, who gave the best talk on AI I had seen, and I've seen a lot. And I invited him to come, and he came. And his comment was, I've been to a lot of these, nothing like this, and the quality of speakers is without peer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm taking that to heart, and I'm starting on next year right now because I'm super motivated.
So, Donna, we got about 5 minutes left. Has it gone by fast or what?
I don't know. I'm going to check with the studio audience.
Yeah. One of the questions that we always ask the guests, it seems like everybody that's been on the show has had some of the coolest jobs I've ever seen. Yeah. And you are no exception to that. And I know that I've got a really cool job, TJ does, but they weren't always that way.
Right.
As you were coming up the ranks, was there ever a job that you think of that like your worst job you've ever had, or the hardest thing that you've ever done?
Well, listen, there's no doubt at all that the WNBA job was the hardest job I ever had. But it was the best job I ever had. So I really do believe that the things that challenge us and that are hard, and that toughen us up, they make us better.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? There's so, like, diamonds come out of forging, right? Rock at the highest temperatures, and you get this beautiful stone. You don't love it while you're doing it. It was painful. It was really excruciating in so many ways.
Yeah. I think that's so important for people to hear, especially the younger generation, because they want what they want now.
Right.
And in some cases that's possible, but for most people, they're going to have to work hard and for a while before they get to that level of achievement that they desire. So I think it's important for them to hear from you that was your hardest, but your most rewarding and your favorite, and the one that you.
Michael Jordan would go and practice and shoot 2 hours after a playoff game, right? Steph Curry takes 1,000 plus whatever shot. It makes it look so easy, but these guys are working beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
And I think, I think it's always about the work.
Yeah.
It's always about the work.
Absolutely. So we also ask if our guests can bring in some cool pictures.
Tiger, come here.
Tiger wants to go.
Tiger, are you ready to go?
Tiger, we're almost done.
Come here.
Did you bring in a couple pictures for us?
I did. I did. I did not ask permission, so by the time this comes, I don't know if they're going to air. I might have to swap them out.
Well, they look like Captain America. I can tell you that.
I have MG and I have he has two older children, and then we have our twin sons, Zach and Jacob, both born here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, wow.
And
these guys are studs.
Yeah, well, that's Zach. This is technically Zach's dog. You can see he uses her as an accessory. Can't blame him. Zach really into music, but building 2 companies here in Jacksonville as a young entrepreneur.
Saw him the other day.
Could not be more proud of the work that he's doing on behalf of marketing for cosmetic dentists, not only nationally, but now globally, and also has a home exterior, coating company, I think. And then my son Jacob, he did follow in the family footsteps, went and played basketball at Cal, and then played on a U.S. team in Israel, and then ended up playing 4 years professionally in Israel. And now back in Jacksonville, also a young entrepreneur. I'm so happy, you grow up here in Jacksonville and you say, hey, my kid's going to come home.
Yes.
And all these years, what have we heard? No, there's nothing to come back for here. No, my kids came back here, 1, because they love it. 2, they see so much opportunity. And through them, I see generations of opportunity that are coming together and building this city.
Totally
and
agree.
it's really, really exciting.
My dream, Donna, is to have the Davis kids come back, because it's the best place you could possibly get started. And to create an environment like that, if we're doing that at the Chamber, then we've won. We've won for every family here in this community.
Right. And so it's great that they're finding that, because they both went away.
Yeah.
Right. Zach went to Miami and he went to Phoenix. Jacob went to Berkeley, he went to San Francisco, and then he went to Israel.
Right.
And they're both back here building and thriving. And I just think it's great. I really, really do.
I love it.
Yeah.
And can you tell us, before we finish up, we've got about a minute left.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about MG? Because he's a dear friend of mine and he's impacted Jacksonville so much.
Oh, my husband.
But yeah.
He's with the company, present company excluded, he's one of the best humans in the planet, right? He's just so thoughtful and kind and generous and smart. He is driven, although people think when we're next to each other, oh, you're so different. We're not that different, right? He's driven and caring, and he's a great, great, great father. He's an unbelievable partner. I mean, I can't say enough about him. He's got, let's see, 5 or 6 golf courses now in this community, and has, you know, like 35 or whatever around the country. He's always been innovative. He's a great marketer. He proudly sits on the board of the JEA now. And he's just, you know, like, I feel blessed every morning. Like we say that to each other. I'm always like glad that he feels that way about me, because, you know, it could be a little challenging, but no, he's been pretty steadfast.
Well, I would tell you that I've had the chance to meet you through dear family friends, with the Burrs, and then we have become just dear friends. And now I'm so honored that you serve on the board at the Jax Chamber, and what's your vision for our city. I am so glad that my family knows you, and I hope my daughters are as competitive and as impactful on their community as you've been on Jacksonville. And I just wanted to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I love you. I'm so glad that you came today and spent an hour with us. And I thought I knew you, but now I know a little bit more about your story. It's pretty cool.
No one really, does anyone really know you?
Me?
Anyone?
Well, I think
we know what we
all
share
know,
with
we
each
all
other,
know more
right?
now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, that's true.
What
Like,
you're
that's
willing
true.
to share is what
Yeah.
is what
Right,
you know
and that's
about.
part of the reason we do Generation W, because we are, the stories we share enrich us. And so thank you for being interested in some of mine. I appreciate that. And thanks for hosting Tiger Lily. You weren't perfect, but that's okay. You're a dog.
She's great.
She was the first ever pet.
I know. We don't want her to be the last,
I mean,
right?
I'm thinking Jack may have to come in on the next one. That could be a
well,
good
a quick
one.
story is that she had a sister dog, and that was Jacob's dog. And I do a Zoom cast called Refresh every other week. And her name was Lola, and Lola was in every single show. Lola had started to get a following.
Right.
And then Lola passed.
Oh.
And so when I thought about today, I said, well, Tiger,
it's your debut.
you did pretty good, honey.
Stepping into the spotlight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Donna. I appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to Speak Easy Jax. If you enjoyed the conversation, follow us on our social media platforms, share it with a friend, and make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.